Hey, Casey here, the Saturday morning meeting, PK52. Normally I don't do Saturday morning meetings and make them very specific for a singular weekend or a singular event. I try to make it long term so you guys kind of compound and build onto your futures. But in a couple of weeks we got 4th of July weekend. Take for a second and think about why would somebody shop on a 4th of July weekend or a holiday weekend, a Labor Day weekend, Memorial weekend, a weekend where their work is giving them an extra day off. So they have one day a year that they're going to buy a car. Normally in their daily interactions with their family and the events for the weekends, there's always something going on, and it takes a while to buy a car. If you're not exactly sure what you want, you may spend a full day looking for a car, if not a couple of days. So the customer's broken this down and said, I'm going to buy a car on the 4th of July, no matter what it takes. So I will tell you, usually they'll buy a car after they've been to 2 or 3 dealerships and maybe are frustrated with the day. The old saying is they're going to buy a car in the last place they visit, because once they buy a car, they wouldn't need to visit another place. So I'm going to give some tips. I know I got some managers out there watching this, and I know I got some super top-end salespeople watching this. So there's some techniques you can use using the dealership to make you more efficient on a holiday or a thrust sales weekend. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to take your used car inventory, and I want you to break your used car inventory down into the dollars. We've been told for forever that nobody ever buys price. Well, I got to tell you, if you own a little small independent dealership, let's say sold 30 cars a month, in my training I always call it Ed's Used Car Lot. Customers show up there and they go, what do you have for under $15,000? They don't show up at Ed's and go, do you have any Camrys? Do you have any Corollas? Do you have any RAV4s? They show up and say, what do you have for around $15,000? And Ed has cars for around $15,000. And they may end up with a brand they don't know anything about, as long as the price of what that car is meets the expectations of what they wanted to spend. We'll leave that there for a second. Everything we've been told at a dealership, at a Toyota store, tells you that it's never about price. I can tell you that I've had people buy a lot more car than they intended to buy, and I've had people buy a lot less car they intended to buy because they got caught up in the dealership, and I understand that. That's why we have these big brick and mortar buildings. That's why we have the advertising. That's why we have the music going on. That's why that we cater to that sales situation. But not every single dealership works that way, and I want every customer. So this coming weekend, not this weekend but the next, you got some time, 4th of July weekend. First question I ask a customer is, there's a lot of events going on in town. It doesn't matter where you live in the United States. During 4th of July, there's a lot of stuff you can take your family to, or a lot of events that are free by the city. Do you really want to spend all day up here buying a car? And the customer says, no, but this is what I have. I have the 4th of July. I dedicate this to buying a car. We've broken the cars down. Tell me where you want to be price point. Well, I'm looking at a used car. I want to be around $20,000 to these 3 rows. So what I've had the salespeople do on the Thursday before the big sale weekend is we've broken our used cars down by price. You might have a RAV4 next to a Corolla. You might have a Tacoma next to a Sequoia. But each and every row I've broken down into price. I said we've made it very easy this weekend. We've broken it down by price. All of these rows right here, these 1, 2, 3, these rows right here all fall within your price categories. Let's look and see what we have based upon what you're trying to spend on your car. I'll tell you what's going to happen. I've done this multiple times in multiple dealerships. They never pick their row. They never, ever, ever pick their row. They'll point over there and say, what is that car over there? And you say, well, that car's not in your row. That's, first of all, it's a little bit more money than you want to spend. Tell me why you picked it. Well, I like the way it looks, I like the spoiler, I like the wheels. I definitely want a vehicle with a sunroof. That already has the roof rack on it, and I really wanted something with a roof rack. And so you move them over to that road. Now they bump themselves. But it makes it easier for the customer to select, because the first thing you started with is you started with giving them the ability to buy within what they consider their budget, and that takes a lot of pressure off of the customer. There's always other opportunities. You have a couple of days, digitally to be able to send out some information about not a big sale. How many times can we use that? We're having a big sale. We have a big sale every single day. But we're having a dedicated selection for the customer. Now we break off and talk to the sales associates for a second. If you're working with Toyota and they've got an event this weekend where they've got extra money in your region on Camry or Corolla, or the region has some extra money or pull money on a certified car, then make sure that you front those cars. I mean, you're working on a holiday weekend. I'm not telling you that it's not okay to be greedy. Let's don't call it greedy. Let's call it efficient. If somebody's willing to pay me an extra $100, $150 to $200 for selling the same car that I would have sold anyway, why wouldn't I arrange my lot so that the customers get to see those cars first? Because that goes back in my pocket. And if I'm happy and I'm making enough money, then the dealership's happy and the dealership's making enough money. So use your structure, strategically get ready for 4th of July. If I'm doing this too late in the day for you guys to get it done for 4th of July, look at how long I'm giving you to get ready for Labor Day. There is always an event at a dealership on a holiday, but it's usually an event that's set up by the manufacturer or the dealer does it every year. Do something different for the customer. Make it easier for the customer to select a vehicle when they're in a time crunch, when they've selected one day or one weekend to buy a car. If you make it easier, they'll make a choice. Sorry, this is a short one, but we got a short period of time for 4th of July. PK52, the Saturday morning meeting.